how it goes. We'll start streaming. And let's see if it's going to put us live or if it's going to ask me to go live straight from the start. And it's put us live straight from the start because that's what it does, be awkward. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. Today, we are joined by Alice Talks Football. Alice Abraham. Sorry, I should call you by your proper name. Well, the YouTube channel is Alice Talks Football. Sorry. And like us, when it comes to transfer rumours and last-minute panic buys and huge wage demands, as we were just discussing off camera, we are in the midst of it at the moment. Alice, how are we doing amongst it? Crazy busy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just want Mbumo. Just want some sales. Just want to get through this window and be happy at the end of it, to be honest.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, the topics we're going to go through, we are going to discuss the transfer window, ingoings and outgoings, of course, because we are in prime transfer window. I want to talk about pre-season expectations, next season predictions, and then we've got something towards the end, a little, kind of interactive. So, Sam, if you want to kick us off with the transfer window stuff, let's do it.
Well, she just spoke about just wanting Mbumo, so super close. It seems like we got a bit of news yesterday saying it's new bids going in. They've not immediately rejected it, which I assume is something positive, but let's see. We've got Mbumo in the door. Cunha's already in. Ahmad at right wing back, Dorgu at left wing back. Do you think that's enough for our malfunctioning front line, or are you still desperate for a clinical striker? Is that non-negotiable? Because I've seen rumours of maybe Xerxes operating in there with the runners behind and stuff like that, but maybe Hoyland, redemption, who knows? What do you think? Do you think that's enough, or do you think we still need that number 9 in there?
I'm a big fan of Xerxes, to be fair. He's actually grown on me. I thought he was showing stuff second half of the season. I think he got a bit too much stick. And I think the dynamic of Xerxes, Cunha and Mbumo could work really well. But I do think we need a striker. I think with Mbumo and Cunha coming in, there's less of a need, because let's say if we were in a position where it's you can get a striker, or we could get a midfielder and a wing back, or a midfielder and a goalkeeper instead of a striker. We might go, should we go for midfielder and new goalkeeper, leave striker to next season, because Mbumo can play striker, Cunha's play striker, Xerxes can play striker. It's one of those where we need a striker, and I would like a proven striker, but the striker market isn't great. Osimhen would be the dream. He's just not going to happen. The wages are crazy. Ekitike is just far too expensive for a player that's had his first good season, really. Gyökeres, Sesko, I don't know what Arsenal are doing there. I think Gyökeres, if Arsenal gets Sesko, is probably the best option. But then we're second choice. There's red flags around him. I do think he's a good striker, and I do think he'd be a success at United. But the striker market is at the moment, it's not the best. So I'm for me, I've always said this, get Mbumo over the line, focus on sales, and have a look at midfielders. Have a look at maybe even another wing back for depth, or a goalkeeper, and just see what happens in the striker market. I think Delap was a good opportunity. It was £30 million. Just see if any opportunities pop up, because I'm not a big fan of the striker market right now.
You mentioned strikers and wing backs, and I know you touched on the goalkeeper there as well. I am strongly of the opinion that this goalkeeper situation should be a priority, along with the strikers, almost mirrored with the striker situation, because I think Onana's been that bad. We've had a striker who can't score goals and a goalkeeper who can't keep goals out of the net. Why do you think they're so relaxed about that situation? It baffles me why there's not urgency with it.
I think it's more financial. I think it's more, Onana has got, I think, 26 million left on his book value, so we need that money for him, or it's going to count as a loss in PSR. If we got 23 million for him, it could be a 3 million loss in PSR. I think it's obviously the wages and stuff. I think United, and I think the Muppeteers talked about this, I think the game plan is Baindy is probably going to go. The expectation is Baindy is going to go, and I think the second keeper is going to be good, because Baindy is not a good second keeper. You compare it to Romero. For me, I said, I know Onana's been crap, and everyone was calling for Baindy to start, but I said I'm not convinced he's going to do any better, and he didn't do any better. So I think it's more likely, because we can't get Onana out the door. They want Onana to go. They told Onana he can find a new club. Onana in the interview, didn't suggest it was certain that he was staying. But the problem is, it's a bit like Casemiro last summer. We knew that Ineos were willing to sell Casemiro last summer. Saudi didn't go in for him. Saudi was the only option. With Onana, Saudi's the only option, really. I mean, look, there was the Monaco links, but his wage demands how much Manchester United want. It's if Saudi don't come in for Onana, it's pretty much impossible to move him on. So I think United don't want to spend big on a keeper if they can't move the current keeper on with the wages that he's on. And I think it's sell Bayendier, get a good second keeper. I think we will sign a goalkeeper. I think Bayendier will go. I just don't know if that goalkeeper is going to be good enough to challenge Onana, but I think that will be the stance. But like for me, it's really important. Like as I said a second ago, if someone said to you, you could sign a striker after Mbeumo and nobody else, or sign a centre mid and a goalkeeper after Mbeumo, I would go centre mid and goalkeeper because I would say, well, Cunha can play there, Mbeumo can play there, Xerxes can play there, because yeah, as you said, he's making too many mistakes and they're fine margins, and those fine margins have cost us a lot.
Yeah, they not just the sort of the mistakes he's making. We bought him to play out from the back and his distribution ability, and I've yet to see it. Like I've not seen anything there. When he kicks the ball long, it just doesn't end up at our players. And when he's had the ball at his feet, he takes far too long with the ball. He's not decisive. He delays and he delays. The crowd get on his back. So it's not even just the mistakes. It's like the whole reason why we bought him. Yeah. We're not getting the benefit of it. So it's so strange to me. It really is strange. But yeah, I understand your point. On the outs, Sancho's the one that everybody's talking about in a minute. I've seen a couple of reports from Turkish reporters, so I don't know how legit they are, but we'll take it as it is. They're looking to come in. Fenerbahçe, Napoli are not willing to pay his wage demands. Juventus are not willing to pay his wage demands, but Fenerbahçe seemingly are willing to pay a significant wage, but it'd be a lower transfer fee. Is it worth taking a lower fee just to get those wages off the books and get him out of this club? Because this is a saga that's ran on for far too long, isn't it?
I think the fact that he's got 1 year left on his deal, and if we don't take the fee now, we're not going to get a fee because he's just going to run down his contract, isn't he? I think we're in a position where ideally we don't want to take the lower fee. But if that's going to get him gone, that's what we've got to do. Because realistically, you know, he was at Chelsea. He had an opportunity to stay at Chelsea. They were willing to pay the 25 million for him. With him saying freedom and that, I honestly thought he was going to lower his wages to go to Chelsea. Like I always said, if we'd have forced him out of United and he just said no to Chelsea, I'm fine with that. But it was the way that he forced his way out of United, did that freedom stuff, then to say no to Chelsea because of the money, because he wanted more than Caicedo and Cole Palmer is on, is ridiculous. And that's what frustrated me about it, because the way you acted as if you'd take a wage cut to get out United. You clearly wouldn't. So I don't see Napoli and Juventus offering much more than what Chelsea offered. And I think he would have gone to Chelsea had, you know, that been an all right wage. So I think realistically, I think he's shown he is a bit about the money. But then I'm like, this is World Cup time. He's 25. He's still got a chance under Thomas Tuchel. There's a chance that you look at Anthony apparently taking a 50k a week wage cut to go to Real Betis because of World Cup. Rashford would do anything to go to Barcelona. I'm pretty sure half his wages to go to Barcelona. Yeah. So you think surely, you know, Napoli and I think Juventus would be really good moves for him because I think he'd suit the Italian league. You think surely you would take the wage cut at World Cup. You're 25. It's not like he's 29 or 30 and washed. Like I still think there could be a player there. Like as much as I don't really like him because of how he's, you know, treated the club. But yeah, if Turkey's the only way, even if it's a lower fee, you've got to do it because otherwise you're just going to lose them on free.
Also, why are all our problems with wingers specifically? Like, you see all the issues at the minute and the players that we're trying to move on, the majority of them, Rashford, Sancho, Antony, previous ones as well that we've really struggled with. I don't understand this winger dynamic and why it's so hard to shift them on, because I do think some of them are really good players. Antony's killed it at Betis. I'm sure Rashford to go to any kind of foreign league, it would probably light it up, right? Just because he's not at United. And Garnacho in Italy, I'm telling you right now, would kill it. Absolutely kill it with Napoli or whoever it is. So it seems bizarre to me that we've got these actually talented footballers, but this is the one stumbling block with every single deal is always the wages, and it irritates the life out of me. And obviously this is because of predecessors and Woodward, etc., and all those kind of people. But on the midfield, there's something I wanted to discuss. Casemiro, Ugarte, are you having him, Alice, next season?
I like how Casemiro redeemed himself second half of the season. I thought he was a good player. I like how Amorim made some adaptations so he wasn't covering loads of ground. Ugarte, slow start, you know, missed pre-season. I thought from November to about February, Ugarte was really good for us. I thought like that middle stage of the season when Amorim was thirsting the door, the games under Van Nistelrooy, I thought he was really solid for us, really good in the big games. And then I felt these last 2 months, Ugarte has just not been great. Casemiro has pushed him out. I think with Ugarte, like if it wasn't a 50 million fee and it was a 30 million fee, I'm like you're happy with it. But when you spend 50 million on the midfield, I think you want a bit more.
Especially when you look at PSG's midfield as well. Sorry to interrupt you, but you look at Neves, Fabian Ruiz, and Vitinha obviously as well. You can see why they let him go almost, can't you? Like for me, I don't think he's good enough on the ball personally.
I like him more than a lot of people on Twitter. Like I've seen people who's like the hate towards him on Twitter is ridiculous, but I'm not fully convinced. Like for me, I want either someone like Amadou Onana, who I think could work well with Kobbie Mainoo in a double pivot, or I want us to go for a proper ball progressor, someone that's going to be able to get the ball with it back to goal and progress it. Like I look at what Gravenberch did at Liverpool last year and why Slot turned him into a DM because how like press resistant he is and with his back to goal can turn and break the lines. Like I want that Gravenberch, Sandro Tonali type player, and you know the market for that is slim. Balaba's going to be a fortune. You know, Adam Wharton is a fortune, and I don't think Adam Wharton would work with Kobbie. I think, you know, are we looking at who's going to work with Kobbie? Is he going to play higher up? I think we're probably looking right now who's going to work with Bruno. I think that's where Bruno's going to be, particularly with the 210s coming in. So, yeah, for me, I would like a midfielder. I wish we got Gravenberch when that opportunity was there, when he was low and it wasn't right. I wish we got him. The 110 odd player, you know, he buys all these Ajax players. He doesn't buy the good ones.
I remember he was with Gakpo as well. Gakpo was another one. Sorry, Sam, I know you went to finger, but he was a player that I wanted for 30 million, 40 million. I thought he could have done a job, but yeah, didn't go with it either.
It is a bit weird with a guy, like Alice said, he was playing well, and then he had that, I think it was the West Ham game, wasn't it, where he got shoved off the ball, and then Amorim just for some reason was like, I'm done, and he dropped him, and he basically didn't play really for the rest of the season. Didn't play in the final either. So it's quite a strange one. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what he does like next season, like how good he is. But speaking of next season, pre-season, could we see a couple of sort of tactical switch-ups going into this pre-season, maybe even into the new season? Like I talked about Xerxes being that 9 that drops deep, but in Bumo and Cunha running in behind, having some actual wing-backs. Do you see us tweaking the setup a little bit going forward in the pre-season or into the new season? Or do you think Amorim's going to stick to his guns and just do what he wants to do?
I think there might be some little tweaks. I think one thing I think we'll see more is the wing-backs playing higher. I think that's something that, and I always felt that we looked better when the wing-backs played high. If you look at how high our wing-backs were versus Villa compared to other games, you know, I know we still couldn't score for most of the Villa game until we got that first goal, but we created a lot of chances, and you know, it was so annoying with how bad we played in the Europa League final that we go and do that versus Villa when it means nothing. But I liked how the wing backs were quite high. I think with Mbeumo coming in, Ahmad is the right wing back. Ahmad can play high. I think Dorgu is one of those, but he gets a bit of stick online. But I like what I've seen with Dorgu. He's very raw, very very raw. But I can see the potential with Dorgu. I think. Yeah.
Some of the balls he's put into the box, I've seen, they've been class, like really, really good balls into the box. And if we had a number 9 who had any sort of confidence, you'd probably score a couple of them.
If Osimhen had played, I think he would have got about 4 more assists this season, Dorgu. Like, we had Osimhen. Like, the end product is there. Garnacho wasn't passing to him at times, and there was a bit of a frustrating relationship there. But I think he works with, you know, Cunha quite well. I think if you can get a 9 that's going to attack the box, which isn't really Xerxes, the tactical tweak, I think, because with Amorim, he's very clear. He's not changing his formation. He's never changing his formation. But I think he makes little tweaks, like Casemiro's role this season. He actually played, you know, Garnacho, when he first played under Amorim, played more central, and then he was letting Garnacho go more wide. And I think Garnacho, first 2 months under Amorim, was poor. But actually, I thought Garnacho looked quite better towards the end of the season in the Brentford game and stuff as well. Obviously, he's gone now. So I think with Mbeumo and Cunha particularly being goal-scoring players that will play in the 10s, I think you could see Xerxes drop deep rather than be what Gyökeres was, which is run the channels. I think you could see Xerxes drop and get Cunha and almost Mbeumo to run the channels.
I think that's going to be our front 3, you know, for the start of the season. I do. I think it's going to be Xerxes, Cunha and Mbeumo, because I just feel like this striker thing's going to drag on forever. And I don't know who it's going to end up being, because Gyökeres and Arsenal seem very close at the minute. I'm not sure who they're going to pivot to and convince to come in. So that's an area that I'm worried about at the minute. But we could speak about pre-season, we speak about transfers. They're obviously going to be ongoing for the next couple of weeks. What about expectations for next season? Because let's be honest, last season, I think the majority of United fans will agree, just the worst ever. anything you want to throw in there, off the pitch, on the pitch, was just horrendous. What should we expect, or what do you expect for next season? What would be reasonable if we have a decent window? Let's say we bring in a 9, we bring in a midfielder, and maybe one more, and that's kind of our business done. What would you expect Premier League finish?
Surely it can't get worse. Like, it surely can't get worse.
We said that after the Ten Hag season, don't forget.
Every time we say it can't get worse, we find a way to make it worse, like losing to Spurs in the final.
Yeah. Losing to Spurs 4 times in one season. Yeah. 4 times in one season.
We'll beat them for first game, when we play them in a couple of weeks' time, in a couple of months' time. I don't know when we play them. I think it's like October, November. Mm-hmm. It'll be classic us to beat them that game. Like, it just will be.
Yeah.
I know. I don't really. I think next season will be better. It has to be better. Amorim, a lot of people are saying, look what happened when Amorim got a summer at Sporting. Obviously, it's so, you can't really compare United and Sporting in the 2 leagues. It's just so different. But I think Cunha and Mbeumo coming in, this isn't kids. This isn't kids from a foreign league that don't know the league and know the physicality. This is what Fergie used to do. And I've said this for the last 2 years. Fergie used to buy the best of the rest. Mm-hmm. And that's what you need to do. You need to go out there and find the best Prem players. This is why it's so big last year on signing Alice. I said, I don't care about, Greenwood, Sancho, blah, blah, blah. We will get them out the door. Let's not wait to get them out the door, then move for Alice. Let's move for Alice now. That was why it's so big on it. It's like, because you look at Alice, you look at Mbeumo, you look at Cunha, they're in their prime years. They're in the younger prime years, sort of 25. Alice, I think, is 24. Get the best of the rest. Go to Crystal Palace, go to Wolves, go to Brentford, go and buy their best players. That's what Fergie used to do back in the day. And I like that when we were linked to Tyler Dibbling, I said, look, it's a good talent, but we've got Maino, we've got Euro, we don't need that kind of player. I want 25, Prem proven, scoring now. And that's what we got. So with the signs that we got, I like it. I think Ineos's recruitment is definitely better than, the Murta era. Like, Murta went Højlund, Mount, Anana. That was Murta's last window. There's question marks around Agate, but Xerxes was 30 million quid, Masraoui was 14 million quid. Euro, I think, is just unbelievable. I think he was a bit pricey. De Ligt is solid. I thought the signing summer last season wasn't too bad, despite the league performance. I thought the signings were fine. Aiden Heaven's a gem, Dorgu's a gem. So I think recruitment is massive, and I think the recruitment team is better. But I think what determines how good our recruitment is how well we sell. And when everyone knows there's beef with Rashford, there's beef with Garnacho, we want them gone, there's beef with Sancho, there's Anthony, luckily with us, lots of clubs are interested in Anthony, so I think that's pushing Real Betis to do a permanent deal. But teams will take advantage of us. You look at the market right now. If the Garnacho beef wasn't so public, I'm confident we could get 60 million for him. But because the beef is so public, do we get that much?
Isn't it? I don't you're just going to lower someone's value by everything that's ongoing at the minute. No team's going to look at that seriously and go, oh, you're bartering a little bit. It's going to be a bit of a hard haggle. It's like, no, you can offer 45, 48, and you probably realistically, you're going to have to let him go. Because if once the manager slams the hammer down and says, right, I want him gone, that's it then. There's no kind of returning from that. You can't really mend a relationship from it. So once you put it out there, did they not have those internal discussions to say, right, if this goes out, 15, 10 million is going to be taken off it? Is that really what we want? Or has Garnacho forced this issue, do we think?
I don't know. I mean, I think Garnacho now is it's the Rashford shirt, the Villa top. I don't think it was that deep, but then because he did loads of little things,
it was bad. It was bad.
If Anthony had done it, we wouldn't have cared. But because Garnacho and the way he's acted, it's. Do you know what I mean?
He's got precedent, hasn't he? He's done stuff before. He's posted things before, and he's liked posts.
That's what it is.
Tweet. So he's done it before. So this is not. Like I said on the show, if it was an isolated incident, I'd let it go. Like whatever. But he's done things like this so many times. I can't believe that this is just an innocent mistake this time.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I said, this in itself isn't deep, but it's deep because of all the little things he's done. Anthony hasn't done anything. If Anthony had done that, no one would have cared. It's all the little things. And Garnacho is liking tweets. When he's liked my tweets, I don't go screenshot it and put it out there because I don't want to cause drama. But I've had a tweet that was a bit anti-manager, and he did like it once.
What tweet was it?
It was about him being subbed off, and I said he shouldn't have been subbed off in that game. And he went and tweet. You know, and obviously I'm not going to screenshot it, put it on Twitter, be like, Garnacho, like this tweet.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to like cause a shitstorm, but he does like tweets, and it's like, is he not learned from that? And that doesn't help. And then I don't know how it got out about the beef, but apparently he literally shouted at him in front of the whole squad. So someone there got it out. Like, it was obviously going to get out.
Nathan Salt reported it, didn't he? So he was the one who sort of put it up. But I don't know who the leak is who sort of told him.
Yeah. Right. Let's dive into something a little bit more interactive, because I can feel my blood kind of boiling when I speak about Garnacho. Real or rubbish transfer edition. Okay, I'm going to read out some transfer rumours they sound a bit mad. All you two have got to do is just say whether you believe it's true or whether you believe it's false. Sweet.
As in, is the rumor real, or is the transfer this transfer is going to happen?
So I'll read the first one out for you. Okay. Barcelona wanted to sign David Beckham and change their club colours to pink to convince him.
Oh, that's bollocks.
That's got to be false.
Yeah.
Yeah, false. Total myth.
Right?
Yeah. That's just the first one. Arsenal were close to signing Cristiano Ronaldo before United got him.
True.
I think that's true. I think Wenger said he did. They were close.
Yep, confirmed. Minutes away from signing Cristiano. Bolton Wanderers once tried to sign Ronaldinho.
That wouldn't shock me, to be fair.
Was it not Blackburn? I think it was Blackburn, wasn't it? When they had the chicken turkey guys take over. I can't remember the name.
Chicken turkey? You're going to have to offer more context. Yeah. What does that mean?
There was a billionaire company that they had like poultry. That they made it from poultry and farms and chickens and turkeys and stuff. And they bought Blackburn. And I'm sure when they had all this money...
How on earth do you know this? Where the fuck have you read this?
I don't know why it's still in my head. But, like... Okay. I think... But I don't know if Bolton... I'd say false with Bolton, but I think Blackburn definitely tried.
Alice?
True, sorry.
True, okay. Yeah. Allardyce admitted he made an approach in 2002. I mean, they had JJ Okocha in it, so you can kind of like... It wouldn't be, too big of a stretch. Zlatan Ibrahimovic turned down a move to Stoke City early in his career.
False.
I'll go true.
False. A very popular meme on the internet, but no kind of credible source for that. Last couple. Liverpool once had a bid rejected for World Cup winner Mario Götze.
I feel like they did. True.
Yeah, that sounds real.
Yeah, you're both right. Jurgen Klopp kind of link there. You kind of see that. Yeah. Man United made a late move for Neymar in 2023.
There was a lot of rumours.
There was a
lot of rumours, weren't there?
No Romano rumours. It was more like rumours.
You could tell you do transfers a lot because it's kind of just second nature straight away. Yeah, false. Yeah. Absolute bollocks. And the last one, Arsene Wenger turned down Messi, Piqué and Fabregas in one meeting.
Surely not.
I'd say false because he ended up signing Fabregas, so I'd say false.
Yeah, false.
True. So Barca only allowed Fabregas to leave. Messi wasn't possible due to passport issues. And I can't remember what the thing was about Piqué as well. So, yeah, a couple of crazy kind of transfer stories there for you. Sam, have we got any questions in the chat?
Yeah. UTFR's like, Venky's Chicken, they own Blackburn. There you go. Like, I knew I was onto something.
No
Venky's.
idea.
Yeah. Questions. Would you still go for Gyökeres after him making us an obvious second choice?
Ooh. I mean, I think it's one of those, but I wouldn't focus on him after Mbeumo. I'd go and look at the other business. Can we get a good midfielder? Can we get a good goalkeeper? And you come back to it. I'm not going to go out of my way to be like, all right, now Mbeumo's done, we've got to go all in for Gyökeres. But I think we need him. Like, I'm not going to say no. A lot of players don't go to the first choice clubs. And if he'd have said damn right no and rejected us, 100% you don't go in for it. But he's just said priorities Arsenal. I mean, I can't fully blame him because at the end of the day, he's 27. He doesn't want to wait for a project. They are in the Champions League. They are more likely to challenge. But for me, it's more like Gyökeres, but like let's just work on our stuff, come back for it if he's around.
I feel like you're a lot more lenient than I am, Alice. For example, if I think of a situation, like I've got a partner, right? But if I was single and he was a girl who was like, yeah, I quite like you, but Charlie seems to be the guy at the minute. Do you know what I mean? I quite fancy him. I'm going to go with him. And then he comes back and goes, actually, do you want to go on that date, Nick? I'd be like, no, thank you. You've put your priorities out there. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how the fans would react either in Old Trafford if he was to sign. Would that still kind of linger if he had a bit of a bad start?
I'm sure if he scored 20 goals, they'd be all right with it, wouldn't they? I'm sure they'd be quite happy after that.
Yeah, to be fair, I'd cover it.
Yeah, I always think as well, look at Euro, he did want Madrid, and he sort of got pushed towards United. So
good point, yeah.
Yep. Thoughts on Adron Jashir? I think he got linked to us earlier this evening. The Bruges midfielder we've been linked with, if you have any thoughts. I know we've only just been linked to him recently.
I don't really know much about him. I'd have to go and watch him and look at his data.
Yeah, me neither.
Same.
Would you favour the Nkunku swap for Garnacho?
No, not like for me. Like if you're doing a deal with Chelsea, they're always going to get the better end of the deal. You know what I mean? Yeah. Garnacho, like Nkunku was very good at Leipzig. Garnacho is younger. He's on lower wages. He's less injury prone. He's prem proven. And one of the perks of selling Garnacho, because I wouldn't have sold him until this whole like incident went down. Do you know what I mean? Is the pure profit. If you do a swap deal, so you can make it work for pure profit if you buy him. But I want 60 million for Garnacho, and I don't want any Chelsea player in return. If we're going to do a swap deal with Garnacho, go to Villa, have a look at Watkins, have a look at Onana, and maybe I'll consider a swap.
Yeah. Cole Palmer, I'll do that swap.
We'd all do that, but Chelsea wouldn't.
No.
Goalkeeper options, if we were going out for a second choice goalkeeper, who would you go after, Alice?
It's difficult because, like, a lot of the goalkeepers I don't watch loads of. Like, the Lemens guy who would be linked to, like, his underlying numbers look really good, but I'd have to go and watch him because, clips and underlying numbers can be difficult. Don't really rate James Trafford. The Milinkovic-Savic guy, again, looked alright, but not seen loads of him. Like, the people... Martinez. For the right price, but not 40 million, not 30 million. For me, like, if you 20 million, I'd do it. I think I watched him a couple of times this season. Lucas Chevalier looked good from what I saw. Garcia, he's gone to Barcelona now, looked good from what I saw. Again, I'm not going to act like I watched more than like 6 games, but I've watched enough games and Champions League games with Chevalier to say, okay, I quite like this keeper. So I would go for him, but I think he would be 30, 40 million. I think 20 million is probably the max if we're getting the second keeper.
Yeah. I think that is it in terms of question because people are repeating the same question.
I was going to say, I'm sure Amir, who weirdly enough is not in the chat, right? Because every time we do a stream, Alice, right, I promise you, whether it's 2-3 times a day, there is one person in the stream who'll go, where's Alice today? Where's Alice today? And we explain it's a guest. Sometimes we have her on. Sometimes every single show almost. And the one time we've actually got you on, I don't think he or she are in the chat. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if it's like a bot or whatever.
One final question from a random guy. I have to give him the question. Shout out to random guy. Would you go for former Aston Villa player Douglas Luiz despite him struggling in the Serie A?
Do you know what? I can't lie. I always thought he was a little bit overrated. Like, I would take him for our midfield because I think he would do a good job. But he was someone I would have taken in January because the January market's slimmer. And now we're in the summer and the market's bigger. It's like, oh, that's more of a January signing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I thought, like, when he went to Juventus, I was like, he's a good player, but I don't think he's as good as the hype is. Like, Aston Villa, I think, are fine without him. Like, Camara, I always thought was the better of the two. Onana. Yeah, I'm not that fussed about him. I would take him in return for Sancho. If you got Sancho out and Douglas Luiz went their way, I'd take it, but not in return for, like, Garnacho.
Yeah.
Villa's midfield, by the way, is Camara, who I've spoken about for years, and I'm a broken record on it. Tielemans and Onana. And he got 2 of them for free, by the way. 2 players for free. And that midfield is fantastic. Ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous.
No, I'm a huge fan of the midfielder. Alex just put when is Alice on. Love that comedy. Alice, let us know what you're getting up to kind of the next couple of months. What's the plans on your channel? Anywhere else, kind of features and stuff? Just, talk to me.
Yeah, just busy with transfer news and stuff. Obviously, it's heated up a bit today. There's been a few stories. I thought it was quiet the last few days. I think the big one is the outs. And Boomo, we know we're going to get Here We Go soon. Like, I'm waiting for the notification on the phone to come off that we're going to get Boomo.
You told us it was going to happen whilst we were live. That's what you said before.
Hoping, to be honest.
No, I'm joking. Yeah.
It's soon, but I think it's the outs. And I think July, and a lot of people are, like in my YouTube live chats, are getting frustrated. Oh, it's the same old news. Nothing's happened. And I'm like, look, PSR deadline's June 30th. Yeah. Conversations are ongoing, but I think the minute it gets to July, I think we will get some movement, proper movement on the outs. I'm confident that Garnacho will go. I'm confident that Anthony will go, and I'm confident that Sancho will go. Rashford's going to be the difficult one for me. I think that's the one that's going to drag on. To be honest, that's the one I'm worried about.
Yeah.
If you believe Jay Motti, Nick, Brian and Boomo was in Eccles this morning.
I know, yeah.
At the post office, so.
Honestly, some of the reports that you get during this window, and some of the stuff you see online, I can't stress how 90% of it's utter bollocks. What
was the one? I think we were live, weren't we? And the Donnarumma to United thing came out. Do you remember that one?
Oh, there's been loads.
I was like, how was this allowed to go out? Like,
just from the Champions League, I'm gonna join United. Yeah. Like, come on. Anyway, go check Alice out on Alice Talks Footy on other channels and all the great work that she does. I mean, talk about consistency and talk about hard work. We like to preach it, but yeah, Alice is quite literally an example of that. And thank you very much for coming on as well, Alice. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I always enjoy coming on. Make sure you subscribe to Real Reds Talks, guys, because they do great stuff.
Awesome. I look forward to kind of doing stuff with you in the future. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Smash a like on the video, and we will see you guys in the next one, probably in about half an hour when